Hamilton didn't just win in Barcelona, Ferrari showed its hand and the whole paddock felt it. The first thing you need to understand is that this wasn't some tiny tweak disguised as a miracle. It was a full-body rethink. Ferrari arrived with 8 declared changes on the SF26, but the real story was the way those parts worked together. The front wing was revised, the nose was reshaped, the floor was broken down into multiple changes, and the diffuser was reworked to clean up the airflow at the back of the car. On paper, that can sound like tidy engineering housekeeping. In reality, it was Ferrari going after the biggest prize in Formula One news: grip, balance, and usable performance across the whole lap. And that's the part that makes this so dangerous for the rest of the field. Ferrari wasn't chasing one flashy headline part. They were attacking the car's core. The floor was the heart of it, because that's where the real downforce still lives under these regulations. That means the car gets pulled harder into the road through the corners, which is exactly what separates a good package from a race-winning one. Ferrari reshaped the floor body, the floor edge, and the small guiding pieces that control airflow along the edge. In plain English, they weren't hoping for a miracle. They were trying to make the car work in a wider window so Hamilton could get performance without needing the setup to be perfect on a knife edge. That's why Barcelona mattered so much. This track doesn't flatter nonsense. It exposes it. Fast corners, slow corners, long-loaded sections, and brutal change of direction make it one of the hardest circuits for a car to fake speed at. If a package works here, it usually works everywhere. If it doesn't, the truth comes out fast. So when Ferrari brought what was easily the biggest upgrade package of the weekend, with rivals like Mercedes, McLaren, and Red Bull making much smaller changes, the paddock paid attention. And honestly, Verstappen's camp would have been watching too, because whenever Ferrari moves this boldly, everyone in the title conversation has to react. What made the package even more interesting is that Ferrari was not just reacting to a weak point. They were clearly trying to build a car that could survive the rest of the season without falling apart in different conditions. That matters because a title fight is never about one race, it's about whether the car can keep showing up, keep adapting, and keep giving the driver enough to attack. Hamilton doesn't need a car that is perfect only once. He needs a platform he can trust when the pressure rises, when the tires go away, and when the rivals start sniffing around. And Ferrari, for the first time in a long while, looked like a team that had actually built something with that bigger picture in mind. So the real question is simple. Did Ferrari just hit one sweet spot, or did they finally unlock a car that can stay dangerous beyond one afternoon? That's where this gets interesting, because what happened next would answer that in the loudest way possible. Now here's the part that really turns this from a normal upgrade story into something nasty for the competition. While everybody was staring at the listed parts on the Ferrari, the team had quietly fitted something else that never showed up as a body upgrade at all. New wheel rims. Not flashy, not glamorous, not something the casual fan is going to scream about on a Sunday morning, but absolutely the kind of detail that can decide a race. And if you're thinking that sounds a little too small to matter, that's exactly why it worked. The best tricks in Formula One news usually hide inside the things people overlook. Those rims mattered because of heat. They were helping Ferrari pull heat out of the tires from the inside, and in 2026, that is a huge deal. Tire temperature is one of the quietest battlegrounds in the sport, and it can make a car look brilliant or useless depending on how long it stays in the sweet spot. Cooler tires hold grip longer. They don't fall off as quickly. They let a driver keep pushing while everybody else starts managing the slide. That is the kind of advantage that doesn't always look dramatic in a single photo, but over a race stint it becomes a full-blown problem for the opposition. In other words, Ferrari wasn't just making the car faster, they were making it harder to beat over time. That's why the combination with the floor upgrade was so dangerous. The floor gave Hamilton more downforce and more bite in the corners. The rims helped the tires survive longer under pressure. Put those together and you get a car that can attack early, stay strong late, and keep a driver confident the whole way through. That's the dream. That's what every team chases. And Ferrari finally looked like a team that had built a package with actual race logic instead of just chasing headlines. If you've ever watched a driver look lightning fast for 5 laps and then suddenly go nowhere, you know how much this matters. Ferrari seemed to have solved the part most teams hate admitting is a problem. Hamilton felt that immediately. In qualifying, he was within 6/100ths of pole at a track that usually strips away any illusion. That alone told you this wasn't smoke and mirrors. Barcelona doesn't lie. If the car is weak, the track exposes it. If the car is strong, the track makes everybody pay attention. Hamilton putting that Ferrari almost on Pole told the paddock the upgrade was not theoretical anymore. It was real pace, real balance, real traction. Verstappen and the rest of the grid could see the shape of the threat right there, because once Hamilton gets a car that behaves, the whole race changes tone. Then came the race, and Ferrari played it like a team that actually trusted its package. Hamilton started on the soft tire and went for the bold 3-stop plan, while most of the field tried to survive on 2 stops. That tells you something right away. Ferrari didn't just think they had speed, they thought they had enough tire life to make the more aggressive strategy work. The first stop came early, then the second, and each time Hamilton had fresh rubber and enough grip to attack. That matters because in a race like this, one driver on better tires can turn the entire field into moving targets. Russell and the Mercedes crew kept seeing Hamilton arrive on fresher rubber, and once that happens, defensive driving starts to feel like panic in slow motion. Then the race cracked open. When Alonso stopped and the virtual safety car came out, Ferrari pounced immediately. That is the kind of timing that wins races when the margins are tight. Under a virtual safety car, a pit stop costs less time, so Ferrari got Hamilton in and out without bleeding the race away. That wasn't luck. That was awareness. That was a team reading the moment before everybody else fully reacted. And once Hamilton came back out with his final set of tires, the gap in tire life became a weapon. He had fresher rubber, better cooling, and a car that was still giving him confidence. From there, it stopped being a contest and started becoming a march. Hamilton simply drove away, not because Mercedes was sleeping and not because somebody made one little mistake, but because Ferrari had stacked the whole weekend in the right direction. The floor gave him the pace, the hidden rims preserved the tires, and the strategy turned that advantage into a decisive result. That's the kind of thing rival teams hate, because there is no single fix for it. You can't just blame the driver. You can't just blame the pit wall. You have to admit the whole package beat you, and that's the uncomfortable truth for everyone watching from the outside. If Ferrari can do this once, the next question is whether they can do it again. Because once a team finds this kind of hidden edge, it doesn't usually stay hidden for long. Here is where the whole story gets serious. Ferrari did not just walk out of Barcelona with a pretty trophy and a nice headline. They walked out with a car that finally looks alive, a driver who has remembered exactly how to win, and a rival that suddenly has something else to worry about besides pure pace. That is a dangerous combination. In Formula One news, momentum is not a soft idea. It changes how a team talks, how a driver attacks, and how the rest of the paddock starts planning its weekends. Hamilton felt it. Mercedes felt it. And the rest of the grid, including Verstappen's side of the garage, had to notice that Ferrari was no longer bluffing. The point swing tells the story better than any speech could. Mercedes looked comfortable, then the race turned, and then the car broke. That one failure didn't just cost Antonelli a finish, it cost Mercedes the kind of afternoon that can define a title run. A second power-related problem in 3 races is not a small irritation. It is a warning siren. When a team keeps failing in the same area, every rival starts circling that weakness like sharks in shallow water. Hamilton does not need Ferrari to be perfect every weekend, he just needs the car to keep showing up while Mercedes keeps sweating over whether the next failure is sitting around the corner. That is why this result matters so much more than a one-off win. Ferrari now has a package that works and it has a path to get even better. The next engine step is already lined up with another gain coming later in the season as well. That matters because power has quietly been the area where Ferrari still had some catching up to do. Fix the grip, fix the tire life, then add power, and suddenly the car stops having a neat little weakness rivals can target. That is the nightmare scenario for the rest of the field, because once a Ferrari is strong in the corners and strong on the straights, you're no longer talking about a quick car, you're talking about a complete one. And that changes everything for Hamilton. For a long stretch, he had been stuck in that awkward place every great driver hates, where the talent is still there, but the car is not giving him enough back. That kind of frustration can wear on anybody. But Barcelona was the kind of day that flips the mood in an instant. He proved the car could deliver. Ferrari proved the upgrade was real, and the whole operation proved it could handle pressure when the race turned messy. That matters more than people like to admit. Because confidence in Formula One is fuel. Once a driver trusts the machine and the team, the lap time starts showing up in places nobody can fully explain with a spreadsheet. Now, does that mean Ferrari has suddenly solved the title fight? No, not yet. Vasseur was right to keep a lid on the hype, because one strong weekend does not erase an entire season's worth of uncertainty. Austria will tell us more. A power circuit is a different kind of test. If Ferrari shows up there and stays sharp, then this stops looking like a Barcelona special and starts looking like a genuine shift in the balance of power. If it fades, then everyone will say Barcelona was just the perfect storm. That is the brutal beauty of this sport. Every answer creates a new question. Still, you cannot ignore the shape of this fight now. 41 points does not sound tiny anymore when there are still so many races left. Hamilton does not need to be flawless. He needs the Ferrari to keep hitting the target, and he needs Mercedes to keep looking over its shoulder. That is a real title equation. It is not fantasy. It is not hype. It is the sort of thing that makes a paddock go quiet, because everyone knows how fast a season can turn when one team finds the right mix at the right time. So here is the real question. Do you think Ferrari has finally built the car that can carry Hamilton all the way back into the championship fight? Or are we still waiting for the other shoe to drop? Drop your take in the comments, because this one's gonna split opinion hard. And if you're enjoying this kind of Formula One news breakdown, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, like the video, and share it with another F1 fan who needs the full story. We're pushing toward 4,000 subscribers, and every bit of support helps this channel keep growing.